Have you ever noticed that people often judge your ability to speak a language on how well you can pronounce things? As long as you are good at pronunciation, it means you must know the language. But did you know there is an even more important reason for why you should be able to pronounce Russian words quickly and properly? Hi, I'm Dennis, co-founder of Learning to Know Russian. Thank you for joining us. What a paradox! Even though good pronunciation is essential when learning a new language, people spend very little time studying pronunciation, just like me. And to be very clear, pronunciation is not about being able to twist your mouth to say a difficult sound the right way. All that matters is being able to imitate Russian speech. You need to learn how to Russify your speech and sound like a Russian. But maybe you're wondering why it is such a big deal. What's so bad about having an accent after all? Who cares if you can't say something the right way? Well, there is one very important reason why you must learn good pronunciation. It's something no one's probably told you before. If you struggle to say something quickly in Russian, then you also struggle to understand the same phrase when you hear it spoken out loud. I first studied English in university. Our professor was very serious about pronunciation. We learned about all the muscles in our mouth. We used mirrors when practiced new sounds. We spent the first half of the course pronouncing this is that is this. Unfortunately, our entire course lasted only 2 terms, and we wasted half of it learning how to pronounce this is that. Did I have perfect pronunciation by the end? No. Did I sound like a native speaker? Of course not. Don't get me wrong. Pronunciation is very important, but you have to take the right approach. Pronunciation is a skill. You can choose to polish it forever, or you can just start with the basics. You don't need to spend long hours studying how the muscles in your mouth move and try to learn how to make your tongue do the right things. It's really much less complicated. Just think about how children learn to talk. First, they spend a few years practicing. They listen, they repeat. They listen, they repeat. Later on, if they still aren't able to pronounce the sound correctly, they can work with a specialist. Think like a child. Do it the easy way. Please don't start with complicated charts and guides for perfect pronunciation. Do you know why it's sometimes easy to notice a foreigner in a crowd of people, even if they aren't saying anything? One reason is that their facial muscles are in a different position, with one position for speaking English and another position for speaking Russian. Let's call it speech position. The speech position is a very interesting concept in my opinion. Here's a simple example. When a woman prepares to dance the tango, she puts on an evening dress and high heels. But if she is on her way to work out at the gym, she wears athletic clothing. We wear different things before different activities. In the same way, each language requires a different facial expression. You need to use your muscles one way to speak Spanish and another way to speak Russian. Don't you know what to do with your facial muscles before saying something in Russian? Well, Just think about what the stereotypical Russian looks like. They never smile, right? Here's how to practice the proper Russian speech position. Your tongue should lie flat at the bottom of your mouth and touch your lower teeth. Now try to copy what a silent, no-smile Russian looks like. Did you try it? Good! Now let's move on to sounds. Remember that the sounds from your native language don't correspond exactly to Russian sounds. Even sounds that look the same can be very different. Let's take a very simple word such as stop and pronounce it. First in English. Stop, stop, stop. The tongue is up at a 45-degree angle for S, up for T, and still up for P. The tongue is always stays up and the word stop is pronounced quickly. Now in Russian. Stop. Stop. In Russian, the tongue is down for S, up for T, then down again for P. That takes time to do. Sounds are pronounced differently in different languages, even if they look the same at first. One more time. You don't need to study charts and diagrams and sit for hours in front of a mirror in order to learn how to speak properly. That doesn't help most people. If you can't properly pronounce Russian R or Z, studying a diagram and putting your tongue in the right position won't help. You will probably just waste your time and lose motivation, while getting no closer to being able to speak Russian without an accent. But you do need to be familiar with the extra dangerous Russian sounds. First sound, U. Pronouncing U is hard for almost any foreigner. Are you saying бить or быть? Me or мы? To say U properly, try saying E while punching yourself in the gut. U, U, U. Do you notice the difference? How about U? It literally means short E in Russian, and the sound is very short. You can sing E sound, E, but you can't sing Y. Imagine being pricked with a pin. Oi! Oi! E sound is said with much more pressure when E. A Russian sound R. Your tongue vibrates and produces this sound which is hard for everyone, even for Russian kids. Sounds D and T may help. Pretend to be a tractor. Tr, 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 tr. Dr, 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 dr. Z is a very strange letter and sound. The tip of the tongue is raised and the tongue is pulled back. Try practicing with this crazy word zhu zhu, zhu zhu, zhu zhu. Z sound is just one sound, although it looks like a combination of T and S. Ts, ts. Practice making the T sound as short as you possibly can. T, 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 t. Sh and sh sounds are often mixed up. Often people can't tell them apart when they hear them. It may help you to know that the sh sound is pronounced longer and softer. Sh, sh, sh. Find the Russian sounds that you don't have in your native language. It's okay if you can't pronounce all of these strange sounds the right way right now. Just knowing that these sounds are your potential enemies is a big step forward. You can start by practicing these sounds silently. You don't need to say anything out loud at first. You just need to learn to make the right movements. You need to teach your tongue to move quickly. We don't want to learn how to speak slowly. We want to speak at a natural speed. Begin with individual syllables. Then move on to whole words, phrases. Your mouth should be able to make movements that copy the movements of the Russian language. You need quick movements. This is essential if you want to understand what people are saying. And now, the most important piece of advice. Practice your pronunciation, but forget about your pronunciation when you are speaking. You don't have to sound perfect, just have fun when you are talking. And here's a quick summary of our conversation. First, don't be tricked, sounds are pronounced differently in different languages, even if they look the same at first. Russify your pronunciation. Second, sounds that you don't have in your native language are your enemies. Know them and remember them. Next, exercises that use phonetic charts and diagrams don't teach you how to use good pronunciation during a conversation. Listen and repeat. Listen and repeat. Learn to imitate Russian speech. Begin by repeating sounds silently. And the most important point, all of the language skills are connected. Don't forget about it. If you can't pronounce something quickly, you won't be able to understand when someone says it out loud. And how will we learn to sound like a real Russian native speaker? I'm calling it repetition lesson. This is the part of learning to know Russian system. One last thing for today. In order to make pronunciation more fun, try copying a Russian accent. Yeah, I'm serious. Try to say something in your native language, but with a Russian accent. It's not as easy as you think. You will need to use the right speech position and try to Russify the sounds. See you next time. Thank you for watching.